comments yesterday think if the Chinese renminbi was accepted among the BRICS countries, that all of a sudden the US dollar would, I think the word was used, spontaneously combust. I want to talk about what happens when world currencies shift. We can freak out, or we could just learn what actually happens. So that's what we're going to do on this feed today. So let's talk about how China, because they're going at it kind of like a back end way of how they're trying to get world reserve currency status, which really all they want is to have a piece of the pie. I'm sure they'd love to have more than that, but because they're not willing to be transparent, the People's Bank of China, with their financials, it's a little bit of a more difficult run. And they've been very clear that they're not going to try to do that. I think they said in a statement from 2021, People's Bank of China said they want a balance between security and development. What that means is they don't want to show their financials to the world. That makes it extremely difficult to be the world reserve currency. A few more things in no particular order of things that would have to happen in addition for the renminbi to be accepted everywhere are as follows. They'd have to allow free trade of the yen and release its peg to the dollar. They would have to be transparent about their future intentions for their currency. Their financial markets would have to be incredibly transparent. Their monetary policies would have to be perceived as stable. They would have to prove that they're enormously liquid. So you see, it's not like a super easy path, guys. It's not like all of a sudden we have less trust in the dollar, and so we have abundant trust in their currency. They're a developing nation and they're a communist nation. So there's just a lot of things that are playing by a different set of rules, which the entire world at this point doesn't feel super comfortable with. I'm not saying that we can't get there. I'm just saying we don't feel comfortable today. So here are some steps that they're taking that actually are working. Again, we've got a long way to go. So what China can do, which if they're not going to have full financial liberalization of their capital accounts, it's not going to happen. What they're going for is a piece of the pie. The way they're doing it is through settling trades in the renminbi. That's what we're seeing right now. They can do cross-border transactions. They've come up with a technology that allows them to trade in multiple jurisdictions and invoice in multiple jurisdictions. But the ability to acquire them is not the same as the willingness to hold them. It's the same issue that we're seeing in cryptocurrency. So then what do you need? You need swap lines. Swap lines are lending agreements between central banks. This engenders confidence that a currency can be traded well and across borders. China has done this with about 39 central banks, but there are limits to the swaps. In contrast to US, which are unlimited swap lines when we're talking about US treasuries. There's also very little evidence that the Chinese swap lines have actually been tested in the renminbi. China's also been using these swaps to expand development rather than it being perceived or using them to help out a bank that might be in trouble or have liquidity issues. Another component is offshore markets. The first time China traded offshore in their currency was in 2010 with Hong Kong. Now they have about 24 offshore markets, but again, it's going to have to be at the moment. They are going to have to expand that more broadly, and there has to be a conversion still to the US dollar. So you see why this is complicated. It's not like an overnight thing that happens. And so when I see my comment feed and everyone being like, the world is going to end, the US is whatever, I mean, educate yourself. This is something I learned because I read about 20 to 25 articles a day. You can do that too. So listen, learn, read off of something other than our favorite app, and let me know what you think. I'm happy to read anything that you send me. But I do need you to be respectful in the comment section and not just throw out the world is going to end comments. I am going to delete those because they're categorically unhelpful and typically done by trolls and bots. So, cheers.